Kia ora everyone, ko Taina Keelan tōku ingoa, no te uri o te aitanga ahau tiki uawa. And I just learned pāringa ringa up the far north, no te aupairi on my mum's side, just learning about that whakapape at the moment. But anyway, don't know about PowerPoint, aroha mai. Yeah. Jeez. And I like wearing a guitar because it's like a shield, makes me feel better. But I didn't know what this was about. I thought there was going to be like 10 people or something. But I've been a huge fan of Marie's for many years, so it's choice to be here and amongst your Mickey and Spee. Kia ora. So anyway, I thought it was kind of about what I do, and I feel a little bit in awe of your fellas' kōrero. You fellas are all too much, all right, but so anyway, so if I was to say what's informed me, because I've never been a teacher. I mean, I teach now, but I've been a professional musician, I guess, for 35 years. Turned 50 this year, and I'm feeling every minute of it. But
You don't look it.
feel it. But so anyway, I made some notes just before on my computer. So if I was to talk about mātauranga, for me anyway, how it affects what I do. If I had an ethos or a way that I teach, I'll start it with when I was 10, I think I found my parents' vinyl collection. I'm so glad I see your faces out there because I'm sure you fellas know what vinyl is. These fellas were thinking, oh, is that a car seat? But I'd spend hours like in front of the stereo with these old school. I haven't timed this, by the way, so just if I go too long, or aroa if I'm too short. On the old school headphones, listening to these amazing records by like Stevie Wonder, Steppenwolf, George Benson, like Boz Scaggs, and you know, all these artists when music was music, fast sounding old as. But you know, and I remember being astounded by the record covers, the whole thing. You know, the cover to Bad Out of Hell by Meatloaf, who remembers that one? Or the cover to like Hotel California with the actual, you know. These days you don't get a cover, you just get a click on a screen and, you know. So it was the whole, how would you say it, the overall thing for me. I'd read the liner notes and I'd read, oh, this guy Quincy Jones, he produced this. And then I'd go to the next record and the next record, and I started to make connections. And connections was everything for me with music. Not just in that sense because I'm a nerd as, you know what I mean? Like I can't look at something, I have to find out how it's made and how it works. So even though I was 10, I was wondering, oh, what's that sound in the background going? Oh, what's that thing going? I wanted to know each and every part of the music. And so, oh, by the way, I teach. So I teach. I'm a kaiko at Whirikoka in Gisborne. I teach a whole gamut of things. I learnt that word gamut. I used to think it was a bird, but it's yeah, but yeah, but so it's like I teach so recording studio there. Most of it's around composition, recording your records, your music. Got some amazing young artists, right through to licensing, publishing, funding, the whole thing. Then on the other side of it, music theory, all the things that make you well developed as a musician or someone who goes down that field. I've got Tauira in their 60s, early 70s, and Tauira that are 17 and 18 and 19. So I have a nanny that's doing these glass bell music for her yoga classes, and she's collaborating with a gangster rapper from Kaiti. So, you know, but that's it. Tuakana Taina of the most hard out, and the way and our ethos in our class is manaki, you know, and so anyway, that's what it's about. But anyway, I digress. That's another word I need there. So I was listening to all these records and not really knowing what was going on, but when I heard them, I was hooked. On Sundays, there's a guy called Dick Ware used to read stories. Believe it or not, Little Black Sambo, It was on the radio on 2ZB in Wellington, where I grew up in Porirua, not far from here, a place called Titahi Bay. And he used to read Thomas the Tank Engine, the Phantom and all that. And actually, I've done a lot of music with his son Barnaby, if you know who Barnaby Ware is. He's a great young, he's the same age as me, but he's a musician from here. Anyway, and that was when I found those records. But in the summer holidays, we'd head from Wellington back to the East Coast every year, or when I was naughty, kicked in Nan's house for a few months to, you know, because no matter how naughty you are in the big world, in the city, when you get home, when Nan says, babe, you know, so it was there's about 20 of us kids. We used to get split between two whare. We stayed 3 kilometres just north of Tolaga Bay in a place called Hunua Koko. There used to be a pā there, but it's where our papakainga is there. There's a few houses, our whānau. And we didn't have much. We had each other, and we had the river, us cousins, a rugby ball, this game called Go Home, Stay Home. We had a patch of concrete that was 2 metres wide by 2 metres, and one roller skate that looked like a Roman sandal with wheels on it. And we used to just fight over it to go round and round in circles on that piece of concrete all day. But we also had an old guitar and an old organ that my papa used to use. He's an Anglican minister to play his hymns on. And I gravitated to those straight away. I didn't know why, but the black keys made sense to me. I played on the black keys, but I've learnt now that the black keys are called a pentatonic scale. Most music these days are built on pentatonic scales in the Western world. But anyway, going back to what I was talking about. Those guitars, I gravitated towards the guitars and their organ. That became my focus. My cousins could play. I couldn't play. My cousin taught me the song. Goes, what was it? Oh, sorry, I've got no dots on this. It seems like the flash of the guitar, you get the less dots it's got. That one. So he taught me that. And another cousin would play. Cavatina. And those were connections. My cousins were amazing musicians. Didn't know it. We just hung around the marae at a place called Hini Mauria in Puketawai all day. Just when we went running errands for our nannies, we had the guitars out and we were jamming. And we didn't know it, but we were forming connections. That's mātauranga. We didn't know that though. We were just jamming. We didn't know what we were doing. But from there, I know I'm going to go too long, but sorry. From there we'd be jamming, and we were carrying on traditions that were long ingrained in our whānau for years and years and years, from me te hokowhitu right through to, Tuini-Ngāwai to, the coast. So I watch our uncles and aunties playing and singing in harmony at parties and bringing joy to everybody, and it was buzzy to me. My uncle's playing blues jams, and one day my cousin, she taught me how to play. And I thought I was Jimi Hendrix on that day. I thought I was Mickey Ayers. And everywhere I went, if there was guitar and girls there, I was Richie Valens, babe. And so, and that was it for me. Once I learned that, oh, that chord goes with that chord, goes with that chord. Well, that must go with that chord, to that chord, to that chord, to that chord. And so, but the connections I was making, I would just sit in my room and I'd just make them myself. I came across Jimi Hendrix, Roy Buchanan, and Prince and Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I'd sit in my room, turn the lights off, as you do when you're a kid, and I would pretend that they were in the room with me, talking to me. And I'd sit there and I'd just, play all the scales in there. And then I was like, this is cool. And then I'd get with my cousins and I'd jam. And that formed the foundation of all my musicality that came in the future. And so I'd figure out that if this chord goes here, then that goes there. And it was like a mathematical thing. It felt like working out a Rubik's Cube. And I was such a nerd, no doubt with all our whānau here, my bro with whakairo, all these different things that's in us. Once we trigger that thing, we go hard. And I think that's a mātauranga thing, because for me, I know that probably every race does it, but it's really prevalent for us there's something about our spirituality that gravitates towards toi. So, so I didn't know it, but I loved it. You know, I kept it up, and I imagined that I was summoning the energy of these fellas, like, you know, Hendrix and all that. But I was teats, but anyway, he's, you know, teats. So, well, I got to high school. I was really shy, but I played guitar and I learnt classical piano of all things, and but I didn't play in front of people. I was really shy. And the funny thing about where I'm from in Porirua is the better you are at something, the less you show it. It's just the way it is. You get in a room with 4 really good musicians or whatever, and they'd all just try and play the most least they can. Most least, is that an enigma for you? Yeah. The most least they can. That sounds like an East Coast paradox to me. Like, you got the most least money I've ever seen. But anyway, so I kept it quiet, but then when I finished school, I thought, you know what, I want to learn more. So I went to a place called Whitireia Polytech and I auditioned and I got in. And this is where the plot thickened, because the first day there's a professional guitar tutor, this amazing jazz guitarist, and I had to go and see him, and he sat me down and he said, oh, can you play something so I can gauge your level and what you do? And I said, oh, sweet. And I think I played where's the dots on this? Hang on. Oh, yeah, sweet. Which is Amazing Grace. So I was playing that, and he said to me, that's cool, but if you don't know to talk about it and can't explain it, don't play it. And that really set me back. I was like, shit, all this time I've spent trying to learn how to do this, and I'm not doing it properly. I don't think, am I gonna quit? What shall I do? Because obviously I don't do it right, because I don't do it like he said. And it was hard, man. I thought, shit. And then so, what happened? So anyway, I carried on, and I went and I learnt that side of it. And what happened? Did I write anything here? Yeah, I was really discouraged, and it was a real knockback for me, because conventional Western music theory is not something we know in Uawa. It's not. We play because we feel good about it, and because of how it makes our whānau feel good, and how it occurs to us. And what I'd done is I'd formed all these my own theories and ways of putting things together that had now been told that it was wrong. So it's funny though, then I went, okay, cool. And so I knuckled down and I learnt that side of music. And the more I learnt of it, the more I realized that what I had already been doing was relevant and was worthy and was everything. And like, I know a lot of Māori musicians that didn't have that resilience. They're amazing, but they chose not to carry on with it because of a knockback like that. Happens all the time, actually. So anyway, the mātauranga I teach, or what I do, is based on that. Because, you know, I might know that that's A minor 9, D flat diminished, E diminished, D minor 7, that's a flash one, E7 sharp 9 flat 13. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, and I had to, went to jazz school, did all that stuff. And so, the more I learned, the more I realized that that's a cool tool, but it's just another language to explain creativity. And creativity isn't quantifiable by a language. Language is quite quantifiable by creativity. And so I just thought that up, me and it's about connections made. When I play to this day, I do a lot of like shows and all this, whatever, play gigs or whatever, and I do like, when I'm playing and I'm creating, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm going from A minor now. I feel textures and tones, and emotions, just like I did when I was 12, sitting in my room when it was dark. And to this day, when I'm doing a professional job with someone, I might use a tool and have a sheet of music so I can read it and understand where I'm at that particular moment, but that's not what's in my head. That's just like a map kind of, but the destination is created by the creativity. And for me, that's the mātauranga, from my whānau, from my hapu, my iwi, or my people, that means more, because in a lot of ways, Western musical theory gets in the way of creativity. It puts you in a box. And so I come from generations of that. And whether I'm in a recording studio or on stage or creating or whatever I'm doing in my life as a musician, it's the foundation of what I do. And I'm glad I never lost that. And I'm glad I learnt both sides so I can kōrero on both sides. So when my tauira reach me, I let them do what they do. I give them those tools, but they can choose to use them or not. Language doesn't define how well you speak, really. You don't need to know all the words to say something. You just need to be succinct. And so, like, my favourite songs have usually got 3 chords in them. I might know 100 chords, but that's because I just need to know their language for some jobs I do. But my tauira know that when they come into my class, it's more about what you create with what you've got. And I won't try and change the foundation of what you do, but I'll offer you the tools from both sides, up to you to do what you want to do with them. Yeah, so that's mātauranga as it is in my space. I'll call it there. Kia ora. Any questions? I'll just... Okay, I'll play a little bit of one of my songs that I released earlier this year. I'm usually... So, I come from the hip-hop world mostly, but I've been doing singing music lately, so... Said I won't go, babe. Said I won't go until I know that you stand by me. 'Cause when they're gone, we hold on, 'cause we're family. Oh, and you get what you always wanted. Can't stop it once it started. That's all we really need is love. But I know you try, but the road gets longer. I know it made me stronger, yeah. So no, 'cause we don't give back love anymore. So no, would you tell me, yeah, we don't know what we're fighting for. Right there. Oh, come on.
Oh, amazing, stunning, thank you.
Choice.
Thank you.
Kia ora. Oh, kia ora whangia. Kia ora, great. Chat. Thanks, guys.